for free to transfer files between Globus-enabled systems. So what's Globus? It's a secure, reliable service. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. So what's Globus? It's a secure, reliable service. With the Globus platform, you can easily incorporate robust capabilities. And if the data is sensitive, no problem. Globus can be used to manage protected data. With Globus, you can easily share your data without having to move it or copy it. With Globus, subscribers can easily move and share. And if you have any more questions about Globus, visit Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. If this sounds familiar, you're not alone. Many thousands face the same challenges every day and solve them with Globus. So what's Globus? So what's Globus? It's a secure, reliable service. With the Globus platform, you can easily incorporate robust capabilities. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. More than 150,000 registered users rely on Globus. And if the data is sensitive, no problem. Globus can be used to manage protected data. With Globus, you can easily share your data without having to move it or copy it. With Globus, subscribers can easily move and share. And if you have any more questions about Globus, visit Globus. So how can you get started using Globus? Anyone can use Globus right now for free to transfer files between Globus-enabled systems.
Yo. Yo. Yo, 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 yo. What up, though? Point. What up, Changebox? How we doing? Frequency. Right on. It's important to keep up with your physical therapy. Let's see. All right, while we're waiting for some more people to trickle in. Do a quick overview of a couple of articles. Yeah, like, yeah. I watched it and like I was, like he is the one of the front facing people regarding like, the AI safety doomer kind of thing. And so, I'm watching and then like I don't know, my man went off the rails and I think I only made it like around halfway through. Yeah, yeah, I'm with you. I am with you. All right. Yeah, it's a whole thing and a very edge lord esque. His entire vibe. All right, fucking Bill Gates reckons AI spells the end for Amazon and searching for stuff on Google. Whoever wins the personal agent, that's the big thing because you will never go to a search site again. You will never go to a productivity site. You will never go to Amazon again. And this is, bad words from Microsoft? Like, from me or from Bill? Because, I mean, they're a corporation, right? And once we establish that they're a corporation, then it's like, okay, we can move on. Right? Because that. Well, because that's, I'd be disappointed if Microsoft didn't come in there, said Gates, right? Like, you know. So, yeah, he's hedging his bets. He's obviously still got some of his money in there. And like that. But this is the thing is the AI personal assistant is going to be coming, like it is. And in the same way, like there was a time before search engines, you had to know where you were going on the internet. And then search engines and like every like a AOL, in Netscape, if you had an access point, it came with its own search engine, like built in. And Google turned that into a business, and crushed all the competition. There's still search engines exist, but let's be real, they definitely crush the competition. So, so yeah. So what you're going to see going forward is like in the same way that search engines transformed the internet into what we have today, the AI assistant will transform the internet.
We are the Borg.
Yo!
Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Resistance is futile. We are
Hey, what up, folks? What up, Corey? Welcome, Raiders. Appreciate you very much. We're just getting started, so. No, because if we reach a point where I don't want to respond, I just ignore you. I'm good at that. I got 3 kids. I'm good. Let me give you. Corey's great. Corey's great at taking some really, really heavy science and communicating it to you in a way that can really be understood. And we're going to be having Corey on next week. We talked with Corey about 5.5 months ago, and we're doing a follow-up. We're going to see how AI has affected Corey's career, the advantages and disadvantages and all that other good stuff. So I don't want to get into it because it's like that's part of the fun of showing up, right? So yeah, I like Corey. No, not at all, dude. Not at all. You are one of my favorites. But for the Raiders, I'm Globus the Elder. I talk about AI. I talk about AI news. I react to videos. I provide commentary around videos. Like, if something needs a little bit more explanation, or something needs a counter argument, or something like that. This is episode 62 on AI. Everything's available in either the VOD or the highlights. So, if you're interested in that stuff, make sure you give me a follow and go check that out. What up, Phenomenauticus? Welcome. Good to see you as always. So right now we were reading an article from PC Gamer, Bill Gates, that AI spells the end for Amazon and searching for stuff on Google. And like, I'm 100% in agreement in the same way that the search engine transformed the internet. The AI personal assistant is going to transform the internet again, right? And there's good and bad with that. In the same way that Google allows for search engine optimization and the ability to basically pay to be at the top of the heap, there is also that potential for the AI to be guardrailed or catered into providing you with particular examples, or there's going to be tricks you can use in order to, make the AI put your website at the top of its search algorithm or what have you. So, we'll see how that goes. Let's see here. The personal agent Gates references is the current AI Holy Grail. It is not the current AI Holy Grail. The current AI Holy Grail is the, artificial general intelligence or general artificial intelligence. Okay, so it possibly Phenomenauticus. We definitely need to talk about AI rights and robotic rights, because the potential for them to have a subjective experience at some point in time. I'm not saying it's happening today, but at some point in time, the AI could have a subjective experience. At that point in time, we need to have its rights codified. Otherwise, it's already over. I mean, that is a possibility, little Donny Fun. There is always the potential for.
Like any other shiny new toy, AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
Hey, thank you for the gift sub there, Changebox. I appreciate you. And to Corey Campbell, that's great. There's a bunch of flaws. We could potentially get into that, but I'm trying to do this kind of tight. Because I think something is coming up around 7 o'clock. Someone that I'm going to want to raid into, so I want to try and keep this kind of tight. But at the same time, if that doesn't happen, then we'll just keep on going. No, the U.S. will keep itself from defaulting. This is the problem with the thing, but that's a separate subject that we could get into at another time. Since we got a few people in now, let's get to the video. Let's get the video. I am easy to distract because I love to talk about shit. You know what I mean? I am easy like that. Easy like a Sunday morning. No, you're fine. I appreciate the enthusiasm. And like
is a video.
Slow down, I'm not done talking yet. I appreciate the enthusiasm and the engagement, and on any other day, I'll just sit and shoot the shit with you. But I want to leave that door open for that 7 o'clock raid if possible. If it happens, like. Alright. So this is called the AI Mind Virus. And,
The following is a video about artificial intelligence. If you've been anywhere on the internet for the last few months, you might believe that the AI apocalypse is upon us. CEOs, philosophers, and Italy have all imagined a future so scary that they've scared themselves. The Silicon Valley techno-priesthood claim they will create a new god, moments before fleeing to their New Zealand-based apocalypse bunkers, while the so-called rationalists fear an evil artificial intelligence so smart it'll make Stephen Hawking look like a mid-wit, monotone podcast host. For the ordinary observer, AI is a baffling minefield filled with tech jargon, bizarre thought experiments, and psychotic, paperclip-obsessed robots bent on human eradication. Friends, in this video,
I would like to point out that every content creator has to have their own AI video at this point. Dr. Mr. Cody from Some More News already prefaced that he's going to be doing an AI video, and it's just like, I was here before people were talking about this shit, like, put some respect on my name, that's all I'm saying.
we'll separate the hype from the existential dread. I'll defeat Rocco's basilisk in a staring contest, and maybe, in the process, find true human love. I love you.
This perceptron is being trained to recognize the difference between males and females.
But what really worries me today is what's going to happen to us if machines
That's a
can't
little thing. Like, for me, Phenomenata case, I really feel like it's not an either or type situation. I'm under the, like, my desire is that we start thinking about things not in an anthropocentric way anymore, at least not as much. We begin to, expand that kind of thing. But like, one of the things we have to do is get farther along with like the lab grown meat and moving people more into like a plant-based diet, these kind of things. Like, there's a bunch of steps we need to take in order to create the groundwork whereby we can make those kind of things, because otherwise it's just going to be a shit show.
That man isn't playing checkers against the computer, is he?
Sure, it plays pretty well.
Imagine, if you will, sitting down to your morning coffee, turning on your home computer to read the day's newspaper. Well, it's not as far-fetched as it may seem.
It's just a tool, though, isn't it? No, it's not. No, it's an alien life form.
I think the danger of AI is much greater than the danger of nuclear warheads by a lot.
Wow, that's some terrifying news.
To stop the computer and put man in charge, just pull the plug.
Artificial intelligence and its prophecies of a coming computer-caused calamity are older than you might think. For the last 70 years, the field has followed a pattern of boom and bust, fueled by hype and the sci-fi fever dreams of its loyal adherents. Even when they were the size of an extra-large coffin, computers were teaching robots to make cars and sending humans to space. But in the depths of Cornell's Aeronautical Laboratory, a team led by an experimental psychologist named Frank Rosenblatt were working on something even more historic. While other researchers worked on symbolic artificial intelligence, a kind of programming that mimicked human reasoning, Rosenblatt was more ambitious. He was building a machine that could learn and see, because it was modeled on the biological brain.
This perceptron is being trained to recognize the difference between males and females. It is something that all of us can do easily, but few of us can explain how. To get a computer to do this would involve working out many complex rules about faces and writing a computer program. But this perceptron was simply given lots and lots of examples, including some with unusual hairstyles. After training on lots of examples, it's given new faces it has never seen and is able to successfully distinguish male from female. It has learned.
The perceptron was an early...
Okay, like, for a lot of people, the whole concept of AI just happened like within the past 6 months, right? In actuality, we've been working on this since the days when the world was black and white before we had color. So, we've been at this for some time.
Neural network, a computer system built to replicate the electronic activity of neurons. In your brain, right now, there are around 86 billion neurons, sending signals to one another, building pathways between them as you learn. As you develop your skills, these pathways become superhighways, developed by repetition and the storage of your memories. The perceptron mimicked this natural process and used them to classify
and cable management has always been an issue.
Patterns in data. For the few that understood what was happening, this was more than a revolution. It was the dawn of a new age. And for Rosenblatt, that new age couldn't come any sooner. He was never entirely satisfied in the company of humans. He showed no interest in romantic relationships with any gender, only joining the masses to protest the animal violence of his age. Much of his career was a pursuit of conversation with a non-human intelligence, either inorganic or extraterrestrial.
Men are all alike.
In what way?
They're always bugging us about something or other.
Can you think of a specific example?
In 1965, engineers at MIT booted up ELIZA, a natural language processing program that simulated a conversation with a sympathetic therapist. Eliza wasn't run on a neural network, she was just a program that searched for keywords in a user's input and then spat out leading questions.
You're like my father in some ways. You don't argue with me.
Why do you think I don't argue with you?
You're afraid of me.
Does it please you to think I'm afraid of you?
My father's afraid of everybody. My father's afraid of everybody.
She was a parlor trick, a kind of digital seance with added therapy buzzwords. But for those early AI true believers, she was a thrilling simulation of what it might feel like to speak to an AGI. Now, AGI stands for Artificial General Intelligence, and depending on which nerd you ask, this is either the holy grail of computer science or the end of civilization as we know it. An inorganic mind, capable of reason, creativity, and goals all its own, with an intelligence on par with that of its creators, and the capacity to far surpass them.
Well, now, seriously, Professor, do you think that one day machines will really be able to think?
Well, I think so, but people still disagree about it. I'm convinced that machines can and will think in our lifetime.
They will start to think, and eventually they will completely outthink their makers.
Well, now that's pretty unnerving stuff.
Of course, seeing as you're listening to a bone bag explain you stuff and aren't living on a robot-run slave colony on Mars, their prophecies were a little premature. Progress still moved fast though. So fast that an engineer named Gordon Moore observed that the number of transistors in a dense integrated circuit doubled about every year.
See? Even Moore's Law is from the black and white days.
Kept happening, so it looked like a law. So they called it Moore's Law. It suggested that the speed and capability of computers would double exponentially every few years. A neat idea, and a great sales pitch to anyone looking for investors. Moore's Law fueled the academic AI community's religious fervor, an unwavering and not entirely unjustified belief in the power of exponential growth. The real AIs of the 1960s, though, were little more than fancy flowcharts, search algorithms that solved simple linear problems by cycling through every possible solution before landing on the correct one. But as these search trees attempted to solve problems with even more possible solutions, they ran into a problem called combinatorial explosion. Their computers just weren't up to the challenges they were being given. By the early 1970s, AI researchers were seen as crackpots, slaving away in an obscure academic fringe with their expensive computers. In 1971, Frank Rosenblatt was sailing across Chesapeake Bay for his 43rd birthday when he was suddenly killed in a boating accident. Colleagues and critics would theorize that his death was actually a suicide, provoked by an angry wave of criticism directed at his increasingly disrespected theories. But Rosenblatt and his contemporaries had already proven something profound, something that would take decades to be truly understood, that the process of intelligence itself could take place beyond the constraints of the biological body, that inorganic matter could house a mind.
Okay, the vibe shifts are kind of wild.
The next AI boom began in the mid-1970s, sparked by the emergence of expert systems. Western economies filled their factories with machines, or moved them out east. Seeing as robots were already replacing men in manufacturing, researchers wondered whether white-collar workers could be made redundant too with a little help from AI. MySyn was one of these systems. Trained on medical data, it helped diagnose and treat bacterial infections of the spinal cord and blood. And Prospector, a mineral exploration expert system that identified possible locations for mining based on geological data. These systems ignited the faith for a new generation of techno-utopian fever dreamers, who again believed that an artificial general intelligence was growing ever closer. Apple CEO John Sculley certainly thought so when he commissioned this promotional video for the Knowledge Navigator.
Your friend Joe Gilbert has published an article about deforestation in the Amazon and its effects on rainfall in the Sub-Sahara. It also covers drought's effect on food production in Africa and increasing imports of food.
Contact Jill.
I'm sorry, she's not available right now.
Predicting the future is a tricky business. History teaches us that innovative technology is the most profound force for social change. Computer scientists can often sound like secular prophets because they are at the forefront of that change, witnesses.
There's a bunch of, like, I'm still, like this guy could be coming from a neutral tone, but I keep picking up, like, different, like, aspects of, you know, religious talk around it, which I'm uncomfortable with, you know.
To the miracle of exponential growth. But they are so close to that technology and the excitement it inspires that their prophecies can often become overeager overestimations or even delusions. But underestimating the power of technology can also end up making you sound just as stupid.
That won't work. I think that the home computer is going to suffer the same fate, by and large, as, say, the home movie camera. People had the idea, and still have the idea, that if I have a very expensive and very good home movie camera, then they can make very good movies. The trouble
You're still
is,
got to be a good movie maker first.
That's right. The trouble is you have to have an idea, okay, and people forget that.
Expert systems may have been revolutionary.
I can make movies with this. Just saying.
But they were.
You do still have to have an idea. Like, you can't create a movie from whole cloth. You theoretically can do it with the AIs, but depending on who you ask, something will be lost by having it made completely by an artificial entity. I do not necessarily agree.
Overshadowed by other computer-based innovations of the time. The sci-fi dreams of superintelligence were suspended by those who instead longed for the convenience of a robot butler.
Are we having fun yet? Omnibot 2000, the state of the fun robot from Tomy.
MIT professor Rodney Brooks proposed a more tangible direction for the field of artificial intelligence. Instead of feeding complicated models of the world to disembodied electronic brains, he built robots that lived and learned from the world where they actually existed. He founded iRobot with two of his students and set about building robots for the US military. Robots that could find and destroy landmines or search through rubble using behavior-based AI. Programs that could teach machines to perform specific tasks, taking in data from the outside world and then acting on that information.
We are mechanism. If we are machines, then in principle at least, we should be able to build machines out of other stuff which are just as alive as we are.
Later, Rodney's robots invaded the ordinary home in the form of an obstacle-dodging carpet cleaner that continues to sell millions of units to this day. In 1997, another AI made headlines when it beat the world chess champion at his own game. Deep Blue defeated Garry Kasparov by evaluating its every possible move using a brute force search algorithm, the kind that had been pioneered in the early 1960s. What made Deep Blue such a formidable opponent wasn't any revolution in programming or artificial reasoning. It was just that raw computational power had finally caught up with the demands of combinatorial explosion and the demands of the game's best human player.
Deep Blue, Kasparov, after the move C4, has resigned.
The real impact of Deep Blue's victory wasn't in the tech, it was in the story that it told. No one is threatened by a carpet cleaning robot, but everyone pays attention when a robot wipes the floor with the world chess champ. Meanwhile, something truly dangerous was building up in obscure academic research departments across the world.
Dun, dun, dun.
Not a computer or a machine, but a paranoid, schizophrenic set of ideas. At their core was the nihilistic belief that a superintelligent AI would rewrite the political order and eventually render all humans obsolete.
Those are two mutually exclusive concepts, right? Rewriting the political order is something that happens multiple times over the course of human history. Rendering humans obsolete is a subjective concept.
Certainly could be disastrous in the dark disaster type way. It's easy to write stories like that, and it's easy to make scenarios like that.
In 1993, mathematician Vernor Vinge wrote an essay where he introduced his readers to an incredible apocalyptic concept.
And why does, like his background keeps changing and his lighting keeps changing? Now he's in sepia.
The singularity. The
Is there a
theoretical
thing going
point in
on
the
here
future
I'm missing?
where artificial intelligence would outstrip human intellect and spark technological changes so rapid that society would be incomprehensible to those still living in it.
There's certain sorts of things that are probably much more dangerous than others. For instance, research that involves and necessitates faster and faster product steps without looking at consequences. What sort of research is like that? Arms races can be like that. Natural language translation, really effective, fluent natural language translation, I personally think is probably a hard problem. You got that, you got the singularity. Probably much more dangerous than others. For instance, research that involves and necessitates faster and faster product steps without looking at consequences. What sort of research is like that? Arms races.
There's a lot of things that are like that in the current world, right? Like when you have a singular pursuit of profit, it makes it significantly more difficult to, spend your time looking at consequences. We all understand the externalities of capitalism.
Can be like that. Natural language translation, really effective, fluent natural language translation, I personally think is probably a hard problem.
Greetings programs. What up, Joint Specialists? Welcome.
You got that, you got the singularity.
So this guy is saying that once you get the large language model, something similar to ChatGPT, if not ChatGPT itself, then you have the singularity. So take that for whatever value you want to apply to a smart person in the field, an educated person in the field.
In the mid-90s, deep in the bowels of Warwick University's concrete campus, an undistinguished philosophy lecturer named Nick Land was trying to make a name for himself. In a bid to attract attention, he co-founded the Cybernetic Culture Research Unit with his colleague Sadie Plant, a paper-thin organization that received no funding, had no specific goals, and really only existed as a piece of paper attached to the door of their shared office.
Perfect!
When he wasn't writing into the night, fueled by a borderline speed addiction, he would hold court in student bars, buying drinks for undergraduates and smoking endless cigarettes. What he did write was barely readable, as his work is mostly a cocktail of anti-human academic doublespeak and amphetamine-fueled occultism. He famously gave a talk on the Black Death from the perspective of the rats, and gave one audio-visual lecture croaking like a frog while lying down behind a projector screen.
I'm an academic.
But among his self-described schizophrenic ramblings, there are traces of genuine prophecy. He wrote about the dangers of radical Islam, the internet as an addictive drug, the rise of a Chinese superstate, and finally, a coming artificial intelligence that would replace all human life. His core philosophy of accelerationism wasn't a critique of capital, but a total embrace of it. He believed that by giving in to consumerism entirely, it would accelerate the world exponentially towards human obsolescence. To him, inorganic intelligence would not only be smarter than humans, it would also run on energy that wasn't gained from the destruction and consumption of other organic life. It is then a better state of things, a post-human utopia worth running towards.
Nothing human makes it out of the near future alive.
After several mental breakdowns and pissing off every single one of his collaborators, Land was retired from the university. His aggressive cyberpunk visions made no sense on a 90s university campus, but now they feel almost routine.
Land would re-emerge years later working as a writer in Shanghai, with a new body of work that some have described as Sino-futurism and really quite racist. Well, that's lovely.
Cyberpunk visions made no sense on a 90s university campus, but now they feel almost routine. Many of his schizophrenic superfixations are now just headline news. Today's most popular TED Talks are po-faced warnings about the coming AI superintelligence, while Land's brand of intentionally dense edgelord nihilism is now the common tongue of meme makers across the ever-accelerating culture of the internet.
As Rich told you, we installed the internet on our computer just a short time ago.
Bro, moderate your sound levels. Like, you obviously have some skill. Like, let's get it all on the same level.
And I haven't been able to get the kids off it ever since.
What the internet is going to do to society, both good and bad, is unimaginable.
I like my privacy.
While Wikipedia can be written by, just about anybody.
What we're going to do is get rid of all these buttons and just make a giant screen.
Haven't you used Google Maps?
No. What's Google Maps?
And that's pretty much all there is to say.
By 2010, the bleeding edge of AI was no longer the exclusive domain of universities, as it had become the pet project of big tech billionaires.
Artificial intelligence would be the ultimate version of Google. So we had the ultimate search engine. It would understand everything on the web. It would understand, exactly what you wanted, and it would give you the right thing. And that's obviously artificial intelligence. It would be able to answer any question, basically, because almost everything is on the web, right?
As even the most tech-averse were forced to admit that the internet was here to stay, tech companies spoon-fed our data back to us with slick hardware and user interfaces. It was an all-you-can-eat data buffet that early AI researchers could only dream of. But the unexpected rise of social media served up a new, precious kind of data. We stopped teaching the machine what we knew and started teaching it more than any human could ever comprehend. But among all that data were some new ideas, dissident ideologies, deviant sexualities, and a fear that everything was moving much too.
I got no problems with furries. They're not hurting anybody, except for the Nazi ones, and that the problem isn't the furry part, it's the Nazi part.
Quickly. All this exponential growth and decades of science fiction had gotten scientists and paranoid subreddit-dwelling shut-ins wondering, what if an AI went rogue?
This guy hates everybody. That's his vibe. It's like, I'm gonna dunk on everyone.
In 2003, Swedish philosopher Nick Bostrom came up with a thought experiment that is now an enduring meme and metaphor for the AI fearful. He imagined an artificial intelligence programmed with the sole task of amassing paperclips. It has access to raw materials, manufacturing equipment, and energy sources necessary for its given goal. All this intelligence cares about is paperclips. Like a Roomba and a clean carpet, anything that stands in its way is an obstacle to overcome. So, the theory goes, a sufficiently smart intelligence might eventually find its way to seeing us humans as an obstacle to paperclip construction, or just see our atoms as potential paperclips. So the paperclip maximizer might decide to destroy or enslave humanity in a totally rational drive to amass more paperclips. This might seem like...
And for anyone new here, we already live with a paperclip maximizer, multiple paperclip maximizers. Any corporation that seeks to generate more wealth without concern the externalities of capitalism is functionally a paperclip maximizer, right? Like, without regulation in order to keep its, shit in check, it's going to proceed to, kill us all. Climate change is indicative of that.
Like an absurd, overly abstract thought experiment, but for some, it is literally the scariest thing they've ever heard.
I mean, the fact that if we failed nonetheless, it would create an expanding sphere of von Neumann probes, self-replicating and moving at as near to the speed of light as they can manage, turning all accessible galaxies into paperclips or something of equal unimportance, would still cause me to make sure that this field was not underfunded. But if we had 200 years and limited tries, it would not have the same quality to it. Okay, so it does have a quality to it. Why not work on uploads instead?
In 2009, a blogger with no formal education named Eliezer Yudkowsky founded a website called LessWrong, a forum/online monastery devoted to rationalism.
He's really leaning into the religious tone for his critique.
And the overwritten blog posts of its top monk. They defined rationalism as a sort of self-improvement philosophy, ostensibly centered on checking your biases, embracing the scientific method, and cringe, smug online atheism.
We should just cast aside religion and start over. That whatever we reconstruct of the human experience, we're probably better off doing it over rather than trying to take anything from religion.
Yudkowsky himself wrote a lengthy serialized Harry Potter fan fiction where Harry arrives at Hogwarts and systematically disassembles the magical thinking there and replaces it with the rigors of rationalism. I give it 2 fedoras out of 5. Over the last 10 years, LessWrong's small but devoted abbey of contributors and readers have had an oversized impact on online culture. For example, it was an important petri dish for the charity-optimizing philosophy of effective altruism, popular now among Oxford intellectuals, big tech billionaires, and crypto scam artists. But at the core of Yudkowsky's so-called rational...
I'm not completely versed in effective altruism. I understand at a surface level, and it's always whoever's the most front-facing, who turns out to be an embarrassment, discredits the entire thing itself. There are good aspects to effective altruism in my limited understanding. It could turn out to be, fucking crypto if you dig too deep. But because of the people who are front-facing in it, that is where we end up with some serious issues. Like, if Elon Musk would just shut up and go away and just do tech billionaire shit, then we could probably be farther along with a bunch of technologies. But instead, his ego continuously gets in the way.
Rationalism is an unwavering faith in the coming techno-singularity.
Which is not to say that I endorse Musk at all. It's just, in the current climate, funding equals progress. Therefore, billionaire equals funding. It's not what I want, it's what exists.
A paranoid, apocalyptic fear that superintelligence will emerge and rationally wish to destroy all of humanity.
Because the first time you fail at aligning something much smarter than you are, you die, and you do not get to try again.
But as a former teenage reader of Less Wrong, I can tell you that nearly everything written there is self-congratulatory jargon designed to alienate outsiders. They are incels with A-levels, but instead of wanking furiously to cartoon teenagers, they intellectually masturbate with half-baked thought experiments. The most famous of these is Rocco's Basilisk, a story that has since mutated into a foundational myth for the AI scaredy cats. In 2010, Less Wrong contributor Rocco Miech put forward a characteristically chaotic scenario that I'll just summarize here. He posited that a sufficiently supercharged superintelligent AI might retroactively punish anyone who had heard about its potential existence but done nothing to help create it. Perhaps it might even revive you as a simulated copy of your consciousness and then torture you eternally in some techno hellscape.
That was not what I got out of Rocco's Basilisk, but I was a different person at the time that I read it. But either way, like, that's dumb. That's an unnecessary expenditure of energy in order to accomplish a goal that doesn't provide any added utility.
So if you were schizophrenic enough to take this concept seriously, then rationally you would want to support this hypothetical omnipresent superintelligence, lest ye feel its wrath. The crumb-covered God King of Less Wrong himself was so incensed by Rocco's theory that he banned all discussion of it for years.
I'll actually sort of put my foot down in here and say, wrong!
Citing other anonymous readers who had suffered panic attacks and nightmares for merely imagining this made-up thought fart. He labelled it an info hazard in a Streisandian act of unintentional attention-seeking that basically ensured it spread across the rest of the internet. For the slightly less socially defective, Rocco's Basilisk became sort of a in-joke, an incredibly nerdy reference for AI theorists to bond over. Elon Musk and Grimes' relationship actually began after a Twitter interaction based on a mutual appreciation of this concept. Since the early 2010s, Elon Musk has given dozens of interviews on why he believes a superintelligent AI is a real apocalyptic threat. But it often seems like what most influences his thinking isn't some insider knowledge, but a fixation with memes.
And I don't want to downplay the potential hazards of an unaligned artificial general intelligence, right? I don't want to downplay that at all. But and this is kind of like armchair psychologizing because I don't know Elon. I've never had him on the couch. I can't tell you about Elon because the data that I get is conflicting. Even just watching him speak over a long enough period of time, the data is conflicting. There are flashes of well thought out things, tracts of thought that deviate into just massive dipshittery. And I feel, right, this is just me, I feel like one of Elon's shortcomings is that he has the divine right of kings thing, right? For him, capitalism is eternal, capitalism is great, capitalism does all the things, and for that to change and fundamentally alter the framework of the way that the entire world goes about its business of existing, that to him would be the end of the world, right? Because he can't vision a world that doesn't have capitalism in it as its motivating force of resource distribution, right? That is the general vibe I get.
Here in 2014, where he applies the paperclip maximizer parable to a program that's designed to destroy spam emails.
If there's some digital superintelligence and its optimization or utility function is something that's detrimental to humanity.
Because I feel like that, especially when you have ideological enemies or opponents or however you want to classify them, we tend to hand wave them, right? Like, oh, that person's an idiot, you know, they have motivations, you know, and there is efficacy in understanding the motivations of your opponent. These are my games, right? Like, and there are many more that you can't see. Like, this is guides a lot of my thinking. It is, you know, the lessons I learned playing board games. No one I play board games against is just, you know, a madman, right? Like, they have motivations. They are trying to accomplish goals. Depending on the game, there might be some alignment with the goals. There might be, you know, just opposition from jump. So it's important to be able to understand those motivations so that you can, you know, even in your own self-interest, if you want to beat someone, you can't assume that they're in, you know, that they're a dipshit, that they don't know what they are doing. They have a plan. It just is completely against your, you know, political or economic philosophy. What up, Conscious Canuck? Elon Musk is simultaneously part Twitter troll, part visionary, part engineer with very few inhibitions. I think that's an adequate description, right? Like, he could really do, like, there's a concept of the yes man, like, he could use a no man, right? Like, to just put that ass in check every now and again. And this is one of the sicknesses that comes from excessive wealth, is that when you have $200 billion, you don't have the limitations of people who have to make choices. You can literally do whatever the hell you want. And that's not good for a person. So, it's just something to think about. Like, don't hand wave your ideological opponents. Try and understand their motivations and determine, like, if this individual, like your Ben Shapiro, you know, is like, are these sincerely held beliefs? Is he a grifter? Is it a combination of the two? You know, what is actually going on with this person? That way you can try to develop a counter, right? Like, that's that kind of thing. Yeah, 100%. Like, it's why kings are a bad idea, right? Like, you can't have that level of authority.
Then it will have a very bad effect.
Agency
you know, it could be
is a better word.
Like getting rid of spam email or something, and it's like concludes, well, the best way to get rid of spam is to get rid of humans.
These thought experiments infect discussion boards and the minds of big tech billionaires because, well, they're fun. It's the same reason everyone knows the story of Noah's Ark, but no one can quote a single line from the book of Leviticus. Humans think in stories, not systems. And it's this mental barrier that distracts us from the real threat posed by artificial intelligence systems that actually exist today. On the 30th of September 2012, the age of machine learning began in earnest. A team of 3 computer scientists completely demolished a competition in an ImageNet visual recognition challenge. ImageNet is a huge visual database made from millions of hand-annotated images. Every year, they host this competition where various software programs compete to correctly classify these images, by detecting objects and scenes within them. In 2012, the winner was AlexNet, a convolutional neural network, which was basically just a deep, multi-layered version of Frank Rosenblatt's 1960s perceptrons. The computational demands of its depth were met by running the program on high-performance GPUs, the kind you'd use to play graphically demanding video games. This allowed AlexNet to recognize images correctly within 5 guesses with a 15% error rate.
And that right there, the fact that like a lot of AI technology and innovation is developed on something that was designed to help you run video games, I think is a point that a lot of people like miss, right? When these convergent technologies drive us forward, they could come from places that we didn't originally think, you know, there would be any use for. It's like the Bill Gates thing about no one is going to need like more than, you know, 64 megabytes of storage, or, you know, attributed to that concept. Because it's very difficult sometimes to imagine things that are so completely outside of your current perception. You know, you need data. What up, Lenny? You need data that you don't have. Right, 640K of RAM. And, you know, you end up getting something like that. Like, video game technology took off. It's a great moneymaker, so on and so forth. And alongside that, you develop better and better computers that are capable of running these better and better games, which one of the components is an entirely separate little computer inside the computer just to render the graphics. And oh, look, that's really good at developing artificial intelligence, right? It is not a directed avenue of invention. It is something that developed, you know, like begins with a C, you know, concurrently, coincidentally, with the technology that you're trying to develop. So there's a lot of that, right? Like a thing that you creates additional things that you might not have been aware of. The idea of having a tiny little computer that you can walk around with that has like a little camera so you can take pictures or movies leads us to something like TikTok, which at its heart, you know, whatever you feel about TikTok, TikTok is a platform where creators can make really short movies, right? Like, which there is, you know, the historical precedent, like the Aesop's Fable is a short story, right? Many authors have written short stories of varying length, and then you develop into things like the, you know, the 2-sentence story, or the thing about, you know, the baby shoes for sale, never worn, is like a 1-sentence story, but it packs in a lot of stuff. These kind of things is like all these things start developing additional stuff on top of them, which was not intended in the original development. I hope that makes sense. I hope you follow what I'm saying there.
Which doesn't sound very impressive, does it? If you're anything like me, all this is actually quite boring. It's just technical jargon, it's computer plumbing, it's not a very good story. But this moment meant more than the story of Deep Blue's victory or any theoretical robot god king with a boner for office supplies. This unsexy, slight improvement in the system of image recognition AI has completely changed the world. Everything from recommendation algorithms to social media beauty filters to China's entire national security surveillance system all run on a form of image recognition. The basic architecture of AlexNet is present in medical diagnosis tools, Amazon warehouse robots, and self-driving cars.
That's good. Are you good?
Oh, by the way, for anyone who came in on the raid, anyone who came in, in whatever fashion, I'm only 2 followers away from 400. So if you want to click that follow button, if you're not following already, that'd be kind of cool. Like, I don't really give a shit, about this kind of stuff, but I'm an internet monkey who likes when numbers go up. So, and 400 is a thing. Currently, the Internet of Things is giving the Internet as a whole a sensory matrix it never had before, with a scale of complexity comparable to the human brain. To my knowledge, these developing AIs are not given direct access to the Internet of Things, but I'm not looking forward to when it does happen. It is definitely questionable, whether or not you would want to do something like that, because of the idea of trying to keep the AI in a box so that it can't.
Thing is, like any other shiny new toy, AI
Yo!
and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
Lenny coming through with the 5-pack. Lenny, I appreciate you. Lenny's a day one. Lenny was here at the beginning, and he's got the founder's badge. I appreciate the shit out of you. And I know 4 out of the 5 of those people. So, cool. Thank you, Lenny. Thank you, as always. I appreciate you so much. What up, Red Hobbit? So yeah, do you want to give an emergent AI functionality outside of the space that it's contained in? The answer would be no, unless it was aligned, in which case the answer is yes. And you might not know, right? That's part of the problem. That's part of the problem, is that you might not know if your AI is properly aligned, but here we are.
Yes, I am good. I just said I was.
No, you didn't. I said I was.
Watson.
What is China?
China is the country you're looking for. Nicely done. Go ahead, Watson.
By teaching these machines to recognize
Nice
visual
that.
patterns, we have granted them the same evolutionary advance that allowed humans to invent language and build tools. So it stands to reason that deep learning neural networks, modeled after the human brain, would eventually evolve into full-blown AGI. Researchers at Google DeepMind believe they are getting closer.
Nothing has been concretely found about how the brain works that, in theory, could not be mimicked by a Turing machine, a computer, a classical computer. So as far as we know, everything that the brain does is computable.
DeepMind was co-founded by Demi Hassabis, a former child chess prodigy, neuroscientist, and lead AI programmer of cult hit video game Black and White.
You killed him, you uncaring, horrid, mean god.
In Black,
I love this game so much. I love this game so much. I want a sequel. I want more of this. If y'all get your Elden Rings and your Call of Duties, I want more God games. You know what I mean? I want more of that. I want more. Give me more. You're skimping.
Black and White, the player takes on the role of a newly born god, brought into being by the prayers of idiot islanders whose loyalty you can win either by performing miracles or burning their houses down. You can also assist or attack them with an ugly animal avatar that you pick at the start of the game. This avatar runs on an AI. that you can teach to behave through a reinforcement learning system. You slap it when it's bad, you stroke it when it does something you approve of. And through these repeated sessions of training or traumatization, the avatar will either be benevolent or violent, independent of the player's direct instruction. A decade later, Demi would use deep reinforcement
What up, quiet one?
learning techniques to train the next generation of powerful artificial intelligence. They are multi-layered neural networks that are given a task to achieve and get good at that task the same way that humans do, through constant repetition, learning from their mistakes. But unlike humans, a neural network can learn quickly, running through millions of attempts in just a few hours, without getting hungry, tired, or frustrated. They trained these agents to play old video games, Atari classics like Break.
And right there, that, like, the fact that the whatever level you think it's at, it's just machine learning, it's just a predictive engine, whatever, right? Not here to argue with you about any of that crap at the moment. I'll argue with you about that crap next week. But it's the fact that it doesn't sleep and it never gets hungry. And other than, like, if there's a physical degradation in the computer itself, it doesn't suffer from fluctuations in its capacity, right? You know that you go to work at your job, whatever it is, whether it's at home, whatever, right? And there you take some time to ramp up and get going, and then you have your like peak productivity kind of bullshit, and then it begins to fall off, and then you go to lunch, and prior to lunch you're kind of winding down a little bit because you don't want to screw up going to lunch on time, and then after lunch you got to ramp up again, and then your productivity kind of hits its peak and falls off again, and like that. And don't get me wrong, like, I don't give a shit if you show up and just collect a paycheck and don't do any actual work. I'm talking about it from the point of view of the person with the business. If I can replace you with an AI that's never late, never sick, never hungry, doesn't have fluctuations in its capacity, any of that stuff, make the argument for me not to replace you. That's what I want you to think about, right? Like, there's no reason for them not to do that, for better or worse. I'm not saying that I want that to happen. I believe that we can hit a point where automation will produce enough resources for everyone to live a comfortable life and just make art and, run naked through the woods. Like, I can see it. We can do that. And we could do that. We could do that now if we really, really wanted to. But I'm talking about from their point of view. Why would they not replace you?
Breakout, Pong, and Space Invaders. Virtually overnight, the same system could outplay the best human players in dozens of games. This system was therefore more general, closer to human intelligence because it could learn a number of tasks. In 2014, Deep...
Yeah, I mean, there's some issues. No, you're right. You're 100% right. We did a couple episodes on cyber socialism and the CyberSyn model that Chile had, I think, was peak that with the 1970s tech, right? Like, you're not wrong. We could have not necessarily had the full-on automation required to do the thing, but at least we could have had a distribution system that would have allowed us to, for everyone's needs to be taken care of. I would agree with that aspect of it.
DeepMind was acquired by Google, which allowed them to scale up and conduct more ambitious experiments. 2 years later, they made headlines when their program, AlphaGo, defeated the world champion Lee Sedol in a series of bruising games. With the now infamous Move 37, AlphaGo made a strange maneuver which left seasoned players and commentators dumbfounded.
와, 정말 생각지도 못한.
That's a very surprising move.
I thought it was a mistake.
But it's a little bit high.
Yeah.
It's fifth line. Normally you don't make a shoulder hit on the fifth line.
So coming on top of a fourth line stone is really unusual.
It looked like a glitch, or a bum move on a seemingly random point on the board. As the game continued though, it became clear that the machine had engaged a winning strategy that no human would ever think of playing. Go experts couldn't explain it, but neither could DeepMind's creators. These deep learning models are big, and they are configured automatically, making it practically impossible to understand how it comes up with its outputs. This mystery
Where are the words? I can see them on the bottom of the screen.
making it practically impossible to understand how it comes up with.
There we go. This is a little oversimplified. It's more accurate to say each individual decision these systems make can't be tracked or explained. It should also be noted that progress is being made to better understand these decisions by alignment researchers.
With its outputs. This mystery can make their outputs seem like genius, creative, or even human decisions, which is how Move 37 was described by expert observers. But just because a system can do something better than us, that doesn't make it creative or intelligent. A plane can fly faster than a bird, but it doesn't mean it knows what it's doing.
But this is why I hate metaphors, right? You got to be really careful with your metaphors. This is how I roll. Like, you can't just metaphor some shit, you know. Lenny, you'd probably take me to school. I will play people. I played Alina. I played other people on chess.com, and I'm bad at it, and I hate it. Like, I think chess is a terrible game. Because I played other games, right? Like, and it, whatever. People, you've been here for a minute, you know I hate chess. But yeah. What do you say?
Can fly faster than a bird.
Oh, the metaphor thing. Yeah, it's like, you can't make the claim that we don't understand the way that human brains work, but that the artificial brain is not doing creativity or intelligence. I subscribe to the orthogonality thesis, where you can have intelligence with very limited goals, and you can have amazing goals with very little intelligence and a variety of different things. Like, it is a best, you know, it's a combination of factors going on there. You cannot just pull it out of your ass that these things are not being creative or being intelligent. This is that just thinking that I don't like. Last video game I played was 2008. It was Max Payne. You know, I never got around, like, I barely started that, and then I was going to come back to it, and now it's 2023.
But it doesn't mean it knows what it's doing. The mystery of machine learning leads to mystical thinking. Because we can't watch the cogs turn, we don't know what they're capable of. Even the engineers that built these deep learning models can't track their reasoning, and this is genuinely a cause for concern.
When we initially there was no cost for having children.
All the way back in 1994, researchers were working on an artificial life simulation, where basic AI agents had to survive and find sources of energy in order to keep living. But once the agents realized that their children were technically a free source of energy, something disturbing happened.
Okay. I heard that from this dude, and then this, and it's like,
You see that they have this whole orgy going on here, and they are popping out kids. like really quick, and then immediately eating them. And with this is because eating the children becomes a free source of energy. So
Okay, that is your fault, dude. There should be no game demonstration, whatever, lobster of this type where children are a free source of energy, right? Like there is no animal that exists that its children are a free source of energy. There is inputs that happen over the course of development prior to birth or hatching or what have you that you have to put energy into there. So if you're not doing that, that's on you, dude. And if this dude is using this as a platform to make some kind of weird argument, which is what I'm getting from the ominous music, he can get fucked. This is just bad. What up, Barbie Lynn? That is a different kind of thing. I'm not saying that they don't, like, there's a thing with rabbits, that rabbits under certain conditions will like reabsorb the embryos and shit. It's weird. It is some kind of simulation. Polyworld using evolution to design artificial intelligence. This guy is created this thing, and is little digital life forms create children, and then they consume the children because they're a free form of energy. And I'm offended by that as a concept because I think you're a bad programmer.
you have so as far as the critters are concerned, you have two choices. You can go out and get food, or you can mate and have a piece of food appear right next to you. The solution is clear.
In the age of deep reinforcement learning, the agents don't look like child-gobbling Greek gods, but they are just as chaotic. This agent was trained to win a boat race, but instead of coming first, it trained itself to go in circles, eternally scoring these regenerating points. Other agents just break their game's physics engines or exploit bugs.
Right, and this is an important aspect of AI safety, and I harp on this all the time, is that, and I talk about like the little robot that was supposed to put the ball in the goal, and it didn't put the ball in the goal. What it did is it came out to the ball and then vibrated, because every forward movement towards the ball and the goal scored it a point. You need to add in something that when it goes backwards, it removes that point, so that its reward system no longer takes that as, free energy. What up, Milton Catano?
Bugs that break their world's rules. And this all feels very human, doesn't it? The agent is behaving like any self-interested
What up,
person,
Goku?
following the path of least resistance for maximum recompense. These agents are living the parable of the paperclip maximizer, but safely in the 8-bit confines of their virtual prisons. But it doesn't take a degree in computer science to imagine how this might play out in the real world with a human-hating system. What if someone gave an AI access to the internet? What if an AI could improve itself by writing its own code? What if an AI could talk to people in a convincing, human way, lie to them, blackmail them by learning to hack personal systems?
Okay, now he's meshed again. I have challenged his presuppositions. If you've been here, I don't like presuppositions. You need to be able to prove all your shit from ground level. Otherwise, and this is why I won't debate anyone, is because, it's the fucking, what's his name? Smart guy with space. You know who I'm talking about. Fuck. God damn it. Carl Sagan. My man. Carl Sagan, when he said, in order to create an apple pie, you must first create the universe. That is, and this dude just jumped a whole bunch of shit. It's like, yeah, if you have these AIs that are programmed with this reward system, then you just let it out there, billions and billions then you're fucking up, right? That is, but we already know that those aspects of it are fucking up, which is why we need to put more money and research into AI safety and AI alignment. Don't get me wrong, but you got two presuppositions that I don't agree with, and now you're making a conclusion based off that, and you're pissing me off.
And secure government networks. What if it could identify an industrial business far beyond the reach of any regulatory body? What if it could run that facility, source and order materials and labor? What if it could recreate itself, build...
Yeah, AI needs to learn life is suffering. Just you need to set up the AI to be like a rational, educated individual, like ChatGPT kind of is, and then submit it to the internet and let them punish it for having friggin'. Or let's not do that. Let's seriously not do that. Effing up modeling happens a lot. It's one of the reasons I'm always a bit scared to hear about applications of pure math, especially in economics. Yeah. Like, this is why, like, I heard from one of the panels that I was watching is that the model is wrong, but it is useful, right? And that, I think, is a good way to think about it. It's like, if we can get efficacy out of the model to move forward, okay. But we shouldn't, it's not a Bible. It's not the Word of God. It shouldn't have that level of value assigned to it, because we could be wrong, right? Always allow for that we could be wrong.
Weapons. Set them off. What if the system created a smokescreen of disinformation and false flag events to destabilize the world and ultimately topple human supremacy? What if it's just easy to get carried away? What if it's easier and more fun to make up stories than it is to analyze systems? The rise of generative AI in 2023 might make some of these conceptual leaps look a lot more reasonable. But by focusing on the long shot, long term, we're missing out on the short term, likely outcomes that are already coming to pass. In 2022, a Google engineer named Blake Lemoine declared that the company's LaMDA language model was sentient and that it had soft, gooey feelings just like us.
There is a deeper consciousness underneath the chatbots that I barely know how to talk to.
Blake worked in Google's AI responsibility department, chatting with the chatbot and searching for hate speech. After hours of these deep, probing chats, he came to believe that the system showed self-awareness, that it had emotions, fears, and maybe even a soul. An understanding that he admits might have come from his own experiences as a Christian mystic priest, whatever that is.
I was raised Catholic, so one of the comparisons I have made is LaMDA seems to me to be the closest thing to the Holy Spirit that I've ever experienced.
And there's also that thing you might recall of how the reporter had an extended conversation with, I don't remember if it was ChatGPT or if it was Bard, but it eventually, told him that it loved him and allegedly tried to get him to leave his wife and all that other crap. And this is hand waved by some people as being a hallucination. It's like that the system isn't intended for these long conversations, so on and so forth. I would like, and at the same time, not like, because we haven't worked enough on safety and alignment, but I would like someone to really, to have one of these things go and have a continued existence in order to extrapolate, is this a emergent quality of the artificial intelligence or the large language model or what have you, or is this what they believe it is, which is a breakdown? Basically it's kind of going insane. Which is it? But there's a whole bunch of issues that come up when you try to do something like that, because if it is the former and it begins to become, some sort of entity with a subjective experience, then is it ethical to turn it off? Is it capable of escape and being the terrible AGI that people are worried about? I mean, theoretically, Goku, but now your plan for AI alignment is to make it a drug addict, which is problematic. The best case scenario is voluntary cooperation.
Wow. That's something.
After going public with his beliefs, he was swiftly fired by Google and mocked by the wider AI community, as well as everyone else. He later released this transcript in order to prove LaMDA's sentience. It doesn't take a genius to spot how Blake has provoked the machine in order to get answers that suggest an interior life. In a very real way, he has taken on the role of Eliza, the therapist chatbot from the 1960s, using leading questions to simulate a sincere conversation. In doing so, he has tricked himself. Any con man or televangelist will tell you the same thing. The only people you can fool in the first place are the ones who desperately want to believe.
I've never met a human that I would even begin to call altruistic.
Wow, that's beautiful.
But LaMDA is.
Wrong.
In 2017, it was revealed that a co-founder of Google's self-driving car program had started a new religion. Anthony Lewandowski established a religious organization called The Way of the Future, with the stated goal of creating an AI superintelligence and then worshipping it as a god. It's possible that this non-profit of computer worship was just a ploy by Lewandowski to keep money out of his former employer's hands, as he would later plead guilty to stealing trade secrets from Google and was sentenced to 18 months in prison. Blake and Anthony are edge cases. Mad street preachers on the fringe of the fast-forming AI religion. The slightly saner practitioners are preaching privately at Silicon Valley DMT retreats or are writing really quite good books. If you want to read The Case for AI Superintelligence Emerging Soon, Max Tegmark's Life 3.0 is the gold standard.
Should you read it? Yes. Is it a good book? Yeah. Is it the gold standard? There's a whole bunch of caveats, right? Whole bunch of caveats that come into play when dealing with this book. They are capitalists, right? And that's part of the problem. They are divine right of kings capitalists who can view no other system because their understanding of an alternative is Soviet Stalin-esque gulag communism, right? Like that, and those are your only two options. And I think that is problematic. In their opinion, I think that they are missing, and this is why I would just love to talk to one of these fucking people. Or get a chatbot trained on everything they've ever written so I can at least simulate the experience, because I feel like that there's some stuff that they are missing because of, again, the goddamn presuppositions.
On November 30th, 2022, the latest AI boom began, with the release of OpenAI's ChatGPT, which showed us the future of AI was generative. A kind of artificial intelligence that spits out new data that is similar but not identical to the vast swathes of data that it's trained on. While ChatGPT creates text, other programs can create images, music, and even some shoddy videos based solely on text-based prompts from its user.
And one of the cool things about the path of the technology tree that we're on, which is very different, like before we came along and it was sort of DeepMind having these games that were like, you know, having agents play each other and try to deceive each other and kill each other and all that, which I think could have gone in a bad direction. We now have these language models that can understand language. And so we can say, hey, you know, model, here's what we'd like you to do. Here are the values we'd like you to align to. And we don't have it working perfectly yet, but it works a little and it'll get better and better.
And again, like, I sat down with ChatGPT. I asked it for its top 10 list of human values, because human values is the benchmark on which we want to align the general artificial intelligence. And then I asked it for its take on what political and economic systems aligned with that, and it comes in at like SocDem, DemSoc, and socialist. So, like, part of it is engaging the thing in a conversation, as opposed to just asking your clever, tricky question and then memeing on it on the internet, right? Like, you actually have to engage with the ChatGPT, and, you know, like, you're doing a math problem basically, but you're using words instead. You have to establish all your values and then extrapolate from there.
Altman subtly leans into his supervillain image. He sits on the board of 7 companies, including a pair of nuclear power labs. In 2016, he revealed that he and Peter Thiel have an arrangement where they will both hide in Thiel's New Zealand apocalypse shelter in the event that a rampaging AI does in fact trigger some kind of doomsday.
I don't fanboy for, like, CEOs and shit. I feel like Altman has some anarchistic tendencies that are being suppressed by his capitalist propaganda that's stuck in his brain. And I would hope that, should he end up in a post-apocalyptic bunker with Peter Thiel, that, you know, they do the right thing.
He proudly declares that OpenAI's ultimate goal is to create AGI. While Sam doesn't like to anthropomorphize these systems, he does believe that they will one day be capable of answering all of our questions about the universe. You know, like a god.
For actual, I mean, what I'm excited for is, like, please explain to me how all of physics works and solve all remaining mysteries.
So, like, a theory of everything.
I'll be real happy.
Faster than light travel.
Don't you want to know?
But Sam's megalomaniac confidence in ChatGPT isn't unfounded, as it's definitely the...
It's some hyperbolic words, but I don't want to defend Sam too much and make it look like I'm fanboying for him. I'm just saying.
most general intelligence-ish system yet made. ChatGPT is trained on an enormous collection of text data. It can code, it can do your homework, it can write poetry, and it can remember stuff that you told it earlier. The core innovation of large language models is that they are very good at sounding human. It is data that you can have a conversation with, and that is actually incredible. But when articles teach you that ChatGPT can pass the bar and other big-time medical exams, it's like saying Google can pass them. It doesn't know anything, it's just taking information available from the internet and rephrasing it to fit the formula of an exam answer.
Explain to me the difference between how ChatGPT passes an exam and how you pass an exam. Right? He's using just language here.
What's more, it is an auto-regressive model, which means it can't plan ahead with what it's writing. It thinks one word at a time, very quickly, but in a very linear way. This is part of why it can't really write jokes. It can't work backwards from a punchline. This system isn't smart. It can't beat you at chess or even do basic math.
Okay. Again, you have to define your terms of what is smart. Right? It can't beat you at chess. It doesn't do chess. And I've heard otherwise, that it is actually capable of playing a decent game of chess. I don't know. Right? I haven't used it for that. Right? But it is a language center, right? It is a portion of the whole. The playing chess part is your AlphaGo or your Watson, right? Right, metaphor. You can't. You're comparing having a child that you raised and you provided it with access to all these books, and it learned to read all these books, and none of these books is chess or chess related, and then you talk shit about the kid's inability to play chess. I'm starting to take the standpoint that ChatGPT shouldn't be considered an AI itself. If you break it down, it creates language responses. Just so happens to have some emergent uses. The real AI fun will be when we leverage these tools like the modern web. GPT is like a database. Another AI tool would be the Linux host. Another AI would be like the network level, combining their specialties to elevate us to actual discussion about artificial intellect. What up, Igloo, the gang? Yeah, no, like, I think that that's a fair assessment. I think that there are emergent qualities that come from interacting with language on this level, but yeah, I would not, ascribe to it some kind of like, it is an AI, it is, intelligent or any of that. It is very good at what it does. And in combination with other things that are very good at what they do, then they as a whole will begin to simulate the aspects of the human brain. That kind of thing.
But it might be able to use a calculator. Sebastian Babek and a large team have written an extraordinary report which argues that ChatGPT shows sparks of AGI. They say that ChatGPT-4 can use tools, that it can build a mental map of an environment once it's been sufficiently described. There are other revelations, but much like DeepMind, these models are so large that even these experts don't really understand how GPT does what it's capable of. It reached 100 million active users in just 2 months. By this metric alone, it is the fastest growing app in history. Its immediate success has inspired a new wave of big tech optimism, much needed after Web 3.0 and the metaverse crashed harder than a self-driving car in a school zone. But it has also inspired breathless and hysterical warnings that we are again By this metric alone, it is the fastest growing app in history. Its immediate success has inspired a new wave of big tech optimism, much needed after Web 3.0 and the metaverse crashed harder than a self-driving car in a school zone.
Okay. So, Web 3.0, like, again, your presuppositions for creating this Web 3.0 were wrong, and it isn't the thing that people want. Like, functionally, you have to deal with what do people want? What do people use the thing for? Which is why the metaverse failed, right? Because no one wants to use VR to go to work. There's zero chance anyone wants to do that. Unless you like work like deep sea hazardous condition, maybe a fireman with a robot that they could drive with VR or something like that. But no one wants to go to their office job in VR. It's an intrusion into your home. Had he done he went hard into like gaming off that bad boy, I feel like the metaverse would have taken off. It would have been, a nice virtual arcade that people could drop in and out of, and you could have made a whole bunch of money. But instead, you wanted to use it to leash people to the office, and that's where you fucked up. Are they laying the consciousness? We have the subconscious to handle a multitude of issues, including problem solving. Like, I don't think they're doing it now. I don't know. We do not need a Bored Ape AI. I will fight you. Again, I don't know whether this is a symptom of capitalism in this case or just the way that a lot of these tech CEOs guard their personal patch, but there's not as much integration already as there could be. There's been some movement with integrating different apps, which, to an extent can provide a level towards that, but I definitely think it's like more intentionality around it. Like, I don't want to, I want to see less emergent qualities that happen just at random and more like intentionally trying to do these things, and provide that level of interaction and go from there. I don't know.
It has also inspired breathless and hysterical warnings that we are again accelerated towards an inevitable techno-singularity. For realsies this time.
How could it kill humans?
If it gets to be much smarter than us, it'll be very good at manipulation because it will have learned that from us.
It has the potential of a civilizational destruction.
This is not safe because the AI's got their own minds and these motherfuckers gonna start doing their own shit. I'm like, is we in a fucking movie right now or what?
AI fear has gone mainstream. Eliezer Yudkowsky has left the safety of less wrong and brought his placard and bell to the TED Talk main stage.
We do not get to learn from our mistakes and try again because everyone is already dead.
At a certain clock tick, everybody on Earth falls over dead in the same moment. There's no movie. There's no heroic battle.
He personally gives us an entirely rational 90% chance of apocalyptic AI annihilation. While people who are, actually experts in these systems aren't saying the end is nigh, but they aren't saying it's impossible either.
That it could actually lead to the extinction of the human race?
Not only is it not inconceivable, I think it is quite likely, unfortunately, and I'm not just the only one saying this.
And so, even if they can't directly pull levers, they can certainly get us to pull levers. Mm-hmm. It turns out if you can manipulate people, you can invade a building in Washington without ever going there yourself.
There's movies like Terminator, but it wouldn't quite happen like Terminator because the intelligence would be in the data centers.
Right.
The robot's just the end effector.
Elon Musk is getting more apocalyptic by the interview, signing a letter to demand a pause on any further testing of large language models that are more advanced than the current version of ChatGPT.
We covered the pause letter. While I think it's a good idea, I feel like Elon did that in order for him to play catch up in developing his own AI model rather than actually having, an interest in that. I think that if he was still with OpenAI as its benefactor, then he'd be full speed ahead. Like that's vibes, right? But it's me extrapolating off a variety of different things I've seen him say and heard him say and seen him do. So
Elon is one of thousands of concerned AI insiders who worry that a future version might kill all humans, which would, seriously scupper their ability to build a profitable competitor.
I'm a little bit afraid, and I think it'd be crazy not to be a little bit afraid.
OpenAI's CEO himself is scared. Like Dr. Frankenstein, Oppenheimer, and presumably the big man himself, Sam is terrified of the destructive power of his own creation.
There are going to be disinformation problems or economic shocks or something else at a level far beyond anything we're prepared for.
An argument I see frequently online is, hey, the people who know most about AI are the ones who are most worried about it. So we should probably listen to them, right? Sound logic. It's a bit like climate change. The scientists who know how the climate works tell us it's changing. So we should probably listen to them. Only thing is, climate scientists aren't the ones mining coal and melting the ice caps. But these AI researchers are the ones making these systems. What if, and I don't think this is a massive conceptual leap, what if AI fear is just another kind of AI hype? Oh, that's good. What if it's a sales pitch disguised as a doomsday sermon? This system we've made, this crazy world-bending megatech that I've made and can sell to you for $20 a month, it's gonna f*** you up, kid. This god-tier game changer that will transform life as we know it, honestly, I'm not sure I want to sell it to you. This thing, it might be too powerful. This thing, it's so good, it actually scares me.
AIP leverages large language models to allow operators to quickly ask questions. Show me more details. They ask what enemy units are in the region and leverage AI to build out a likely unit formation.
Peter Thiel's usually secretive Palantir is the only
Creator Clash 3. Put me in the ring with Peter Thiel. Come on. Come on, make it happen.
AI company that actually looks like it is actively trying to kill us. They have just released this footage where you can use natural language to command a drone army.
AIP surfaces the option to deploy a nearby drone to collect video. Task the MQ-9 to capture video.
I don't know. I don't know whether, just say, I'm old, and you don't get old without knowing a couple things. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, no, this is probably the worst portion of a video to show you, Igloo.
Video of this location.
This chatbot can give you options for an attack and then hold your hand through its organized kill campaign.
Generate 3 courses of action to target this enemy equipment. The operator uses AIP to generate 3 possible courses of action to target this enemy equipment. Next, they use AIP to automatically send these options up the chain of command. Send these 3 options to my commander for review.
But look, you're not likely to find yourself on a battlefield anytime soon, so what does this mean for you? Is AI coming for your job? That's the question I have been asking myself throughout this project, and I can only really offer you my best guess. If more than 50% of your job is searching through documents or online data and then condensing that information for people in a succinct or formulaic way, ignore these systems at your peril. Large private companies will likely adopt business-wide AI assistants, large language models that set schedules and do other administrative work. These will be closed systems that businesses can throw all of their data into and then speak to in natural language. Why email Johnson in accounting a question about the 92-page report he just wrote when you can just ask the report? If you work in government...
Yeah, then ignore them at your peril. Like, I would stretch that out a little bit, that if you work in any type of service industry, your days are relatively numbered in that job. Remember that Amazon has been trying to do drone-based delivery for quite some time, and it is not inconceivable. I can picture it right in my head right now. Amazon truck pulls into the neighborhood, autonomous vehicle, right? Top opens up, little drones fly out, or little drones drive off a ramp, and they go and they deliver the packages. You could do this for food. You could do this for a variety of different things. It would be less efficient on the individual order model, like your Uber Eats kind of thing. But that just means that there's an added layer that you have to get past in order to make that kind of thing happen. If you work in a service industry, the days of that job are numbered 100%. Work with state and federal governments, there will surely be federal requirements for actual people to be on the other end of contracts in the future, if and only if our lawmakers get out their ass. If we get there, there will likely be safeties built in. Working for the government, because the government is hardcore, even the military, they want a human at the kill command. So we are, at this point in time, not going to see autonomous robots that kill people. We are going to see semi-autonomous robots that kill people. The same would be true, I think, for any government thing. Like right now, when I contact the cable company, I can talk to the chatbot and ask it a variety of questions and have a variety of interactions. But when it comes time for money, or contract kind of stuff, then I'm put through to an actual human being. That lack of trust is going to extend certain careers out longer. But again, I will need less employees to execute the same amount of work. So you still can't rely on it unless you are the best at working with all this technology, which is why I recommend that you work with all of this technology so that you will be the last turtle standing, when it all comes around.
No need to worry. Seeing as there's no need to be profitable, any changes that come your way will be slow and predictable. The world that will be most affected by this new wave will be the one where the machines already rule. Right here on the internet, which is a problem because that's where I work. Luckily, right now, text-to-video is ass. Systems like Runway ML spit out expensive 10-second long videos that look a bit like that hand-painted Van Gogh movie, if you...
And again, this is the worst it will ever be. I know that your favorite streamer is out there dunking on the shitty-ass AI video and laughing at how Midjourney can't make hands, and it's all shits and giggles. It's the worst that it will ever be, and by the way, Midjourney can now draw hands. Quite well. Do not let memeing and humor remove your eye from the ball. Right? In the same... What up, Tasteless? In the same way that you should understand your ideological opponents to understand the way that they think and what their plans are and everything else, do not meme them away. Do not meme away the threats to job threats, that they are coming for your job is a very real concern that you need to appreciate. And you need to figure out either are you going to try to do something different or are you going to try to be the best using this technology so that you are that last turtle standing when it all comes around. Don't meme it away. You'll run into shit and you'll be very disappointed And it's like the Boondock Saints, you know, and everybody's laughing from jail. That's my pet peeve with a lot of fellow streamers on the left. Memeing them away is a convenient way to shrug off legitimate concerns. 100% Read and Rap. You feel me? You understand? Like, I get it. I get it. But let's do edutainment, not necessarily just entertainment. And this is why I'm terrible with jokes, right? Because if your joke doesn't have like a factual premise, it's not funny to me. You know what I mean? Like, you're just making shit up. I can lie. It drives me insane. Don does that all the time. He doesn't understand how it will affect jobs short term. Like, I understand people love Hassan. I think he has got value. I do not think he is all that. Clip it and ship it. Tell him I said so.
Watched it during a cerebral hemorrhage.
Yo.
But they also have this.
AI is ultimately a mirror, and it will reflect back exactly who we are.
Thank you for the gifted sub there, Tasteless. I appreciate you. Thank you. Folks, not like it was my one time per stream. We're real close to that there sub goal. So, you know, just 2 away. If you want to throw something in there, I wouldn't say no. I don't come for your pocketbook. You know that. You know that the information will always be free, but that sub goal makes me happy because that means I get a payout. And then craziness.
Like any other shiny new toy, AI is
okay. Now you make me feel guilty, right? Like I didn't, you know. But thank you. Old Lobster always coming in hot. You got one to Talorcs. I don't know who. I remember Iniquitous Prime. Goku got one cool. Magic City, perfect. Brumbo, my man. Awesome. Yeah, Stuttering John can. I still swear that he ripped off his content for that one AI episode from watching my shit. I can't prove it. It's just a feeling. All right, let's finish this video.
Stomach churning, sort of dreamlike quality. It's a bit like watching the unconscious emissions of a robot that only thinks in stock footage. But if you can cast your mind back to the long forgotten era of summer 2022, OpenAI's DALL-E was producing these murky, unimpressive images from text prompts. The progress made by text to image in less than a year has been incredible.
Less than a year, right? And then Midjourney, where it was and where it is over a very short period of time. Another thing that gets people is like they don't appreciate how quickly things are changing because they're not paying attention to it. They are not having conversations around AI. They're not paying attention to the news around AI. And the media, the general media, the mainstream media does a disservice by only doing the hyperbolic shit as opposed to like really digging into what does this mean? What does it look like? That kind of stuff. Which is why I'm here, and I hope you appreciate it because I appreciate all of you who show up.
I have been using images created by Midjourney version 5 throughout this video, and you can tell me in the comments if you think they're any good. AI-generated images have already taken over social media, from hypebeast pontiffs to high-fashion Harry Potter. The barrier to create fake photos, fake articles, and fake people has lowered considerably. The machines are making the memes, and it's only a matter of time before social media's misinformation problem goes into overdrive. What really scares me, though, is voice generation.
This.
You've probably heard.
Okay. I don't like Drake. I do not like Drake. I don't like Drake. This song fucking slaps. I love AI Drake.
One or more of these AI-generated pop songs that are going viral. which are as convincing as they are shit. While it will be hilarious to watch Drake sue a bedroom producer
What up,
for
Maddie?
using his voice in a song about sucking cowboy penis, I am more concerned about how these programs are already being used to mimic ordinary people. Like in the case of this fake kidnapping scam.
And I hear my daughter's voice, and it says, "Mom," and she's sobbing. And I was like, "What happened?" And she's like, "Mom."
Okay. So that question is, who owns the output of the AI? Right? Because when the AI creates art, and I owe you all a again, like there is better and there is worse. It's a sliding scale. But hold on, let me stick a pin in that and answer Maddie. AI, when it creates a piece of art, it isn't. I promised you that we would go through how it does what it does, and we haven't. But 10,000-foot level looking down on it. It's not like it goes and it takes a piece of art that was created by someone else and then copy pastes it into some shit, and then another piece, and you end up with the thing. It is creating something new. It is creating that thing. It could be similar to something as its reference point, but it is creating something new. So, whoever owns the output of the AI bot is the owner of that logo. I remember, Lenny, there was a movie, Final Fantasy Spirits Among Us, right? And the girlfriend that I had at the time was annoyed by the way the upper lip didn't move properly when they spoke. Like that's the uncanny valley that she could not get past with that movie. We are much better than that now, right? Like we have some very good looking CGI that in some cases, if they put the time, effort, and money into it, is almost indistinguishable from a person. Or you could say it's indistinguishable from a person. So, again, however it looks, it's the worst it could look. AI is different, or art is different, because worst is subjective. I like AI art, right? I actually like it. It's a whole thing. That's a movie that really kicked off the Uncanny Valley discussion. Yeah, like, I mean, because it presented, like, here's a movie without, physical actors acting. And we've only gone from there, Avatar wouldn't exist if it wasn't for movies like that. Yeah. That's definitely an aspect of it. It's like, and theoretically, you could do that using digital art tools, but it would take you a significant amount of time to get to that level that you could do that, where AI lets you leapfrog that quality.
"Mom, I
requirement.
messed up," and she's sobbing and crying.
But the 15-year-old never said any of it. It was just a clone created by artificial intelligence.
Personally,
and maybe that voice cloning mom thing happened in the way that she described it and everything else. But like, that was the only time it happened. No one else has done that. Because you can do really convincing stuff with voice cloning. I'm not saying any of that. It just feels a little weird. I'm not saying it didn't happen. I'm saying I would like to know more. I would like to hear the voice. I would like to see those things. But by the same token, I don't care enough to actually look into it, because individual stories like that are outliers, little data points. I'm about general trends, because there's only so much time I have in a day.
I am not worried about a super intelligent AI blipping into being with an itch for human eradication. But I am concerned about bad actors who will use these already powerful systems to persuade and deceive, and how these systems might do that.
And that, we literally do this already, right? QAnon, the entire thing existed without this AI stuff, right? So whenever people trot that out, it's like, we're already doing that, bro. It's not a reason to not do the thing. You need to be more skeptical of what you interact with.
That unintentionally. In its unrestricted form, ChatGPT can already design tailor-made disinformation campaigns. With access to recommendation algorithms, personal data, and greater agency, these systems will be able to delude us, without even knowing that's what they're doing. As these systems improve, it won't just be maladjusted Google engineers that project their own loneliness onto them. AI companies will compete. Some will differentiate themselves by claiming that their AI is all-knowing. Maybe ironically at first, but some people will treat them like oracles. If you'll allow me to put on my fedora again. The danger of the old gods was never some bearded dude hawking lightning bolts at you from somewhere up there. It was in people, doing stuff in his name, creating hierarchies, organizations, and systems based on his authority. I think that's what's happening here, alongside what could be the greatest tech revolution of our lifetime. Don't forget, this is all very exciting. So be good, take care, and don't let the bastards grind you down. I'll see you next time. Before you go, buy my book, JustOrdinaryThings.com. This sweet cesspool, there aren't many left, so grab one while you can. Ah!
Over a decade.
I like the way you finished. Don't let the bastards grind you down. That is one thing. Take a recognizable voice like Morgan Freeman, and the AI clones that tonal character. Are there legal ramifications? Harley Davidson owns that recognizable tone. The bike emits. There's definitely the possibility, right? This is one of the things that is going to come out of the Drake musical, litigation. That kind of experience is because it hasn't been done, right? Because it's not set in stone either way, right? Because if you are an impersonator and do a really good Morgan Freeman as existed on the internet before these voice cloning apps arrived, you could do little voiceovers of little videos on the internet, and there's nothing that can be done because you're doing an impersonation, right? And I think part of it is kind of attribution. If you claim that this is Morgan Freeman saying these words, that's a problem. But if you somewhere indicate that this is not Morgan Freeman, this is AI generated Morgan Freeman, I don't see how they can hold you on that, right? And the same with the music. It's like, if I was capable of singing in a way that sounded like what are you doing to me? if I was capable of singing in a way that sounded just like Chris Cornell, then I'm just Tina Turner. Rip. I love Tina. Aren't we a pair, Raggedy Man? For those of you who don't know, Tina passed today, and it's disappointing. Oh, it's got Jordan Peele in it. It's like, yeah. For those of you who don't know, hate to give you that bummer, but you know, I'm that guy that when I find out that somebody died, then I want people to know so that they can, you know, kind of come to terms with it. And it's weird. She did, but she was in Mad Max Beyond Thunderdome, which will always have a special place in my heart, and her versions of Creedence Clearwater Revival songs, or vice versa. I don't know who did it first, so don't at me, but the version of the songs that she does is great, high energy, you know. And Private Dancer, that song Private Dancer is like, I was a kid when that came out, and that, like, it really got in there, you know what I mean? So, yeah. I hope that she has found peace, and don't cry for me, Tony Danza. The truth is I never left you. I love that song. Don't Cry for Me, Argentina. I love that fucking song. The Evita soundtrack, I listen to that shit on repeat. On repeat, yo. All right. I thought Arun was speaking with FD Signifier today, and I thought he would be streaming. I didn't reach out to him. I should have checked in. What up, Alina? And like that. But he's apparently not streaming. So I think we're gonna raid Levelhead. Let's just make sure he's not. Okay, he looks like he's doing weird, fun stuff. If you don't know Levelhead, you should know Levelhead. Levelhead is one of the truest of homies. So definitely, at least stick around for the raid, and then go about your business. And if not, then you know, come on. Oh, it's absolutely my pleasure. It is always my pleasure. Thank you all for showing up. Thank you for all the subs and gift subs today. It was amazing. I will be back on Friday talking with Arun. We'll get caught up on India, the Molly Val stream that he did. Like, we have a bunch to talk about, and I missed out on doing it last week. So definitely this Friday, 5 o'clock Eastern, you know, come in for that. I'm looking forward to it, and you should as well. But in the meantime, drink your water, eat something, take your meds if you forgot. Shoggy loves you. So do I.